Same up at Helm. There's this water stream. And this is the other hill that's very similar size and shape to Castle Hill. It's up at Helm. You can actually just see it from Castle Hill, and I've always wondered what it was. And actually my friend used to live just literally down in the village, so it's kind of just above Meltham. No one really knows anything about it, don't find any information about it. It just seems like a natural hill. But obviously if it's flat on top, the farmers made it flat on top, but we don't know if there's anything on there in prehistory or not. There might have been. They might have settled on their natural hill and they thought they'd make another one. You know? It's really unusual that we've got Castle Hill, Hillfort, which is an ancient site, and then literally just in Meltham, or just out of Meltham, there's another hill that is literally a bit natural and similar sort of size. Why didn't they use this one? Or why didn't they use this one first? Or instead, why Castle Hill? And I think that Castle Hill has got a better view around it, you know? Just the place Castle Hill is, it's nicely situated to have a nice view around it. They might have used this one. No one's ever, I don't think anyone's ever proved it or disproved it archaeologically. I'm not too sure whether we're going to be able to see Castle Hill or not. Castle Hill or not, it's too foggy. But I can see it, quite a nice view. Strangely, I don't think that house, but one further on, always used to have, or always has, got a sign outside it saying vintage jukeboxes for sale. And it's where there's a lot of these grass things where you get magic mushrooms growing. I always kind of think they're making a point out of, like, if you take loads of them, it plays some sort of old-fashioned mother goddess tune on replay or something, I don't know. Seems quite funny that they've got that vintage jukeboxes right next to the fields where all those little tufts are, like Mr. Majiki tufts. But wow, I have been up here once before, so it's really strange. Like a second version of Castle Hill that just happens to be roughly around the same size and flat on top, but probably plowed by the farmer. I wonder if they had two hill forts, you know. No one ever talks about this one because it's not got fortifications around it, but you don't know what happened at any point in history. And if that one's only just been excavated by Varley, and not really much more, maybe there might be evidence of occupation upon this one as well. Maybe we had two hill forts close to each other, and that would have been something interesting. And this one would have been right next, really on the edge of the moors. I'll go climb to the top and take some photos then. There is actually a gate you can get into on the side that's open. I think last time I went on from the road at the other side, back when I was driving, and then parked up, and I think I had to climb over that fence thing. I went up the other, completely other corner, other side. Amazing church in Helm. It's a really interesting shaped church actually. Probably be able to get a photo of Castle Hill from the moors. Although when you get up to Home Moss, at the top of there, it's quite difficult to pick it out from over Holmfirth side. There are a couple of roads straight out of Meltham up there and up there. I wonder which one's got the really straight view from this side. I have to do that next time, but I don't think any buses go up that way. Very much like being on Maiden Castle, this one, the terrain of it. The terrain of this one is literally exactly like being on Maiden Castle. It's just sort of wavy grass like this. And you got the view of the other hill fort. I seriously, if they've got that hill fort in Neolithic and Iron Age, and you've got the Pennines there, this is a beautiful spot. Yeah, I can't see why they wouldn't use this as well. if they're using that one, because you can also see it's actually a lot harder to see this one from over there than it is to see that one from here. I think that's the house. That's the house that's got vintage jukeboxes about there. It's at the edge of the lake as well. The lake's really still actually. I don't think I'll be able to see Castle from it very well though. Maybe you can see it from that side. Now, I've never thought this before, because last time I was up here I was sort of over that side of it and I just sort of came up for a bit of a view. I didn't hang around. And what I've realised is now that, thinking of that James Sainsbury video, that Cissbury Ring Hillfort video, and he said they actually got the flint on the Hillfort. They lived on the Hillfort and actually mined the flint on the Hillfort, right? There's two white buses there. 2 Stotts buses. I got the number, but I forgot what number it is now. I thought there were 2 together there. It's not spaced out very much, is it? So, after watching that James Sainsbury video of Cissbury Ring Hillfort, right, and after reading that foreword from J.R. Tolkien, right, that he put in that Haig's book on the Yorkshire dialects when he was investigating words of significance that Yorkshire may have preserved that might have interesting meanings or knowledge preserved in them. Because Tolkien was a professor up at Leeds and his mate Haig was at Huddersfield Technical College. So, and obviously Tolkien had an interest in Hillforts because he'd been to Uffington quite a lot, to the White Horse and Wayland Smithy. So Tolkien suggests in the foreword, in his words, that our Hillfort, he refers to it as a storehouse, right? So if we went with the theory of like religious sacrament and mushrooms, which, you know, there are loads and loads of psychedelics groups and stuff like that which will support it and back it up, right? There's one thing that I haven't noticed before. When you're at Castle Hill, you know without a doubt there's just the Pennine Ridge behind you, all like around the edge of the Pennines. And I know that you can go up there and hop like on the golf course and places like that and pick stuff, and, you know. But what I didn't know is that I've been on this Hillfort and I always thought, well, it's not perfectly flat, but it reminds me, it really reminds me when I'm on it now, it reminds me of walking around at Maiden Castle, because Maiden Castle is not like Castle Hill, perfectly sort of flat in the living area on the top of it. Maiden Castle, at least now, it's so big and huge that it's not perfectly flat. It's kind of sort of weary fields a little bit, although they've got all the scans, they've got all the technical scans from above which show all the positions of the huts, which is really, really cool, because you can see where the streets were, you can see where the huts were, but it is not, it's not flat. It's sort of like this on the top. It really, really reminds me of being walking around Maiden Castle on the top of it, because it's so huge and the terrain on there kind of goes wavy and up and down. And it's just reminding me now of being on there, because like I've been there. And what I'm thinking now is, I always, when they got that vintage jukebox sign outside that house there, vintage jukeboxes for sale, and then they've built a reservoir or a lake, they've got those tufts growing, which you get those mushrooms growing in those tufts in September. They grow in those tufts. There's a lot more up on the moors, you know what I mean? But what I've never really, I have sort of thought about it before when I've been driving on that road past that vintage jukebox house. It sells vintage jukeboxes. But when I'm being up here now, the way that I've just seen those horses there, and the way this terrain is here, if this hasn't been shaped significantly, if this is essentially the same level of terrain that it was, and without the stone walls for the farmers' fields, essentially it's kind of like, it's kind of like having the perfect, not fields for crops, but it's almost like having the exact, it's like having a little allotment for mushrooms at the side, isn't it? Look at it. It's just like a perfect level allotment fields, or like, you know, almost kind of like fields for, that's what grows there. I mean, look at them, look at all the tufts, you know? And I've never really been up here and looked at that one at the side of it, like along the side of this, which is, it just happens to be identical, same shape as that Hillfort over there, essentially, but it's not got any fortifications around it or anything, you know? I mean, maybe if the farmer, I don't know how much the farmer's ploughed this or not, whether he has sheep on it or not, because he's got a fence around it, except for the entrance bit over there, but, you know, if Varley has only really not really done that much, only a little bit of archaeology on Castle Hill, you know, what have they actually ever been up here with metal detectors? Have they ever dug here to find anything, flints, coins, stuff like that? Maybe it wasn't inhabited, but you'd have thought that at least they would have come up here to have a view of that Hillfort, because if you had an Iron Age Hillfort on there, you can't tell me, right, that you wouldn't, for a nice view, come over here and sit on here, you know, and have a look at that Hillfort, you know, and then you've got the edge of the proper edge of the Pennines here, which is a beautiful view, but it's not quite as, that Hillfort there, to me, from certain angles, it looks like it was just, it kind of looks like it was built up at least quite a bit, and it wasn't actually completely natural. There was quite a bit of it built up, because it's nearer the other ridge over there, and it's got a really nice central view around it. It's just, if you had this one, this is amazing. There's no doubt this is an amazing view, but that is kind of just like a special little magical, it's got that valley around it, and then, you know, it's just got this sort of very nice position. And then when you look across from the other ridge up by the Upper Hopton, in the middle of it, it's got a kind of really majestic view, which this doesn't really have that kind of nice seating. But looking at how these fields run here, I knew about them and I'd thought about them before, but when you're down on the road and you go, oh yeah, there's loads of those tough things go there, and then they've got the vintage jukebox sign outside having a bit of a laugh, and then there's a reservoir at the side which you can't really see from the road very well anyway. But I could get some cool photos because the water's really still. Don't know if you can manage to get Castle Hill in the background with some reflection of trees, but I've never really, just the way these fields are and what's growing in them, and just the way that they are, just the layout of it, it's just like, if you were, you know, going to get a load of them, it would be perfect for having them growing at the, if you're living on this hill here, they would be literally in your garden. And then that's why it makes me think of Cissbury Ring. You got to watch that James Sainsbury video of Cissbury Ring Hillfort, because it's a really good video and a really good talk. You should watch it. I think it's on YouTube, but it's on the South Downs. And you could actually say, this is an ancient ridgeway anyway, because we've got an ancient Neolithic Hillfort, and then when you go over the Pennines, this other second, identical shape to a Hillfort shape, but not recognised as a Hillfort, or people that talk about it, you know. This could be right in the middle of the country as well on the map, like right in the middle of the island of England, at the edge of the Pennines. It just seems too perfect. It's just too, like Cissbury Ring's too perfect. Right, it's Hillfort and it's got flint on it, and they lived on there, and they picked the flint up, and then they supplied all of England with it. It's just like if they were using psilocybin, it seems so perfectly set up, doesn't it? And obviously you can get it one time a year anyway, so you would be able to get like a pretty fair batch and then dry them out and then pack them up, bundle them up, you know what I mean? Because I bet that were covered in those tufts before, when it didn't have the horses in there. So, you know, it's a theory. You might say that I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but it's a theory. And it would fit in with the other sites if they were You know, people don't like really mention it on Ancient Stones groups, but you have to. How can you have a megalithic? How can you have a Irish Stones research site with potential use of, you know, religious sacrament, which is widely world renowned, on, you know, groups of a different interest, but yet, you know, you can't. It's not very thorough research if you don't include that critically important part of the subjects in it, which is attached and associated to it. Do you know what I mean? It kind of seems ridiculous. I don't know if you can kind of. I don't know if the video is capturing the exact dimensions of this and how it's just kind of perfectly like a little allotment garden at the side. We know you can get them on low ground, but it just seems all too perfect, doesn't it? I'm gonna go get some more photos now. Actually, almost comedy, really. Just got some cool photos of Castle right in between these two. It's almost comedy, really. It's almost like, just a minute, they've still got the mushroom, they've still got mushrooms growing in those clumps, and they're all. It's perfectly adequate and prime. It's like prime. It's like, oh, look at my garden. My garden's got mushrooms growing in it. Almost like going to Sainsbury and going, oh look, there's James Sainsbury. Hey James. Oh look, there's some flint here. Look, oh look, the actual mining remembrance of the mining shafts that are digging flint, you know, flint arrowheads out of. And oh look, here are some flint arrowheads. And oh, guess what? We tested some, and they came from here, right up in the north of England, and in Scotland they're from Sissbury Ring. Oh wow, what a coincidence! They must have been mining flint here, and they lived on there. What a coincidence! It's like, oh, how do we know if they weren't flint? And it's like, come here, like, oh, look at this. One Hillfort, one Iron Age Hillfort. Two, another hill, exactly identical dimensions and shape, more or less, to that Hillfort, just over here. And oh, look, next to it, there just happens to, oh, look, loads of mushrooms growing. Still, some just remnants of a massive allotment of growing mushrooms in your garden next to Hillfort, perfectly at the side of it. You know, what are the chances of that? It's almost comedy, really. I quite think it's funny and amusing. In fact, I might have to post it on the psychedelic mushrooms, on the psychedelic artwork group, because in a way that is not natural psychedelic art, because it's like where you get it from, where you get the inspiration from, isn't it? You know. Why aren't there loads of cairns around here on the Pennines, like they're out the Cotswolds and in Ireland, you know, and the hills and like Newgrange and places like that in Scotland? I don't know, because maybe they were sending them to places where they couldn't get them. Maybe they had plenty here, and they were. It's not. If you look at that biodiversity map, there's not much growing in Wiltshire. There is a little bit of Glastonbury, but if you go to a Stonehenge area, it's not a hot spot for it. So maybe they were sending them there, you know, because to places that didn't have it. Do you know what I mean? Just like Cissbury Ring, Hillfort, you know, what are they doing with the flint? You don't go down there to, why are they mining flint? Basically, literally, you know. And the thing is, you say, well, why did they get other varieties? Because it's like a very high active content for the size of them. There's like the larger ones don't have as strong actives content as the smaller ones have got a per weight. Per weight, the smaller ones are stronger for each. Once you weight up, if you get still like a bag of small ones to equal the weight of a large one, it's got more content in it, hasn't it? Bit of fog coming in now. It so reminds me of. But you might say, why didn't they flatten it? Or, well, the thing with Castle Hill is, it's all sloped to one side. It all leans to one side slightly to drain it off, but it's quite flat. On here, you don't need to because it naturally curves and drains the water off anyway. It's just so, I wouldn't even propose the idea, I wouldn't even suggest it being occupied on this hill if I hadn't been to Brigante Castle and seen what it's like now. Even though when they scan it, they've got all this data of, you know, they could tell you where the streets were and where the roundhouses were and everything like that through scans. But the condition as it's in now, it's very, very much like the top of here. Well, it's a lot bigger, really big. Maybe actually even as big as, funnily enough, Brigante Castle is probably about as big as that section of fields there at the side of this, funnily enough. It's about how big it is. I don't know why people that talk about this and odd question it, you know. I don't even know what the actual proper name for this hill is. You know, I don't know what its proper name is. There's definitely no fortifications around the sides of it, unless somebody got rid of them. But did you need fortifications? There might have been people living on this one, and it might not have had a perimeter around it like that other place. There still might have been people living on it, because look, it's also like neighbours, isn't it? You could all even almost wave at each other. You could probably see people on there, you know, on a clear day anyway. And if you could do like fire and smoke signals, you could talk even, or even shout. Oh, there's a guy on the Ridgeways group who's doing yodeling. He does Dorset yodeling. Maybe you might have been able to like yodel or something and hear each other from here to there. I don't know, just the fact that no one talks about this hill that much or questions it. You know, have they made reasonable efforts to try and find anything here, anything at all whatsoever, even if it doesn't have any fortification around the edge of it, you know? Just too perfect having the actual landscape of the field. In fact, the running landscape of those fields and the way they are now set and what's growing on it is even probably more significant than this hill itself being here, to be honest. But with this hill and that hill there too, and it's the exact same shape, almost as if they copied the shape of this and put it over there. Almost like, you know, the little tiny mushrooms are twice as strong as the big ones, even though they're smaller. It's almost like saying, like, you know, and oh, the church was just chiming and I can't hear it now, it stopped by the time I got my phone going. That's another thing I've just remembered. So, in the group, in the Ancient Stones group, right, they're saying that, there's our Hillfort. They're saying that they've got Uffington Camp, which is the Hillfort, but then they've got this Dragon Hill as well, which is a little hill next to it. And then you've got the White Horse on the side, which some people in the group are saying, oh, well, you know, it's not just a white horse, it's a dragon. You see, the dragon symbol, the scales, is related to the sacrament of mother experience anyway. If you thought about it, like, you know, so therefore if you kind of associate our Hillfort with Uffington Camp, why have that Dragon Hill place next to it? Well, isn't it strange that we've got Hillfort and then there's Uffington Hillfort and then we've got this hill here that's just like the Hillfort, like within visual distance of it in this local area, and at the side of it we don't actually have a picture of a white horse or white dragon. We've actually got a perfect, as if it's like your garden for growing, you've got a magic mushroom garden, a limit cap garden, exactly, at the side of it. Even in fact, it's even more appropriately positioned directly next to it than the White Horse is at Uffington Camp. And you can quite easily get there on a horse in not that much time. And everyone's getting their flint, believe it or not, from Cissbury Ring, which is even further away. And we're getting us flints from Sainsbury Ring, which is, you know. But the mysterious thing about that Dragon Hill, they talk about it, you know, it's not actually got a embankment around it like Uffington Camp's got the embankment around it. Castle Hill's got the embankment. This doesn't. But that's a little bit like Dragon Hill, isn't it? Dragon Hill's by it, but it's just like a hill. We call it Dragon Hill, and we've got the perfect little allotment next to it. So, and an even bigger one because we've got the entire freaking. Not only have we just got a nice little perfect allotment on one side, a couple of fields. Well, not a couple of fields, a nice size of fields. In fact, it just happens to be about the same size as Maiden Castle area. Perfect. Then you've got the entire Pennine Range as well. So you know, you know, I don't know how you can get away with having these groups, particularly the research group, Irish Site Research Group, which you got to, you know, research all aspects, or all possible aspects, and all possible leads and all possibilities of it. You've got to research it, right? You can't do proper research without thoroughly researching everything that's connected and associated with it, you know. And then then you've got all these groups that are just on, you know, literally going for it, like, you know, psychedelic art is everything, and like 40,000 or 200,000 members or whatever. Just like literally the amount of art that's showing up on there, you know, can only come from one place, or one source of inspiration. And then it's just kind of, in a way, kind of silly. But I need to get back down onto that track now, and then I think I might go take some photos of this hill. Another patch down there as well at the other side. A nice patch which probably would have covered all that side as well. Either side of this. Which makes me laugh because, you know, when I was younger, people used to say, oh, you go, where do you get them from? Well, Meltham Golf Course. Like, rubbish. You came from the side of this hill. This is the place where they were getting, where they're growing the main spot. Well, this is like, you know, the garden spot, and then you've got the surrounding area. Just ridiculous. There looks to be some sort of, there is a sort of flat embankment a bit there that goes on. It's sort of obscured now. And then there is another, what goes down that side, like kind of flat. If it was just a natural hill, I don't think it'd be shaped like that, you know. Or if it hadn't been, it just, and then that bit's like really sloped down. Well, the thing is, right, if you're growing them next to it, right. Well, right, this is it, right? Okay, I've got it now. How about this, right? So what is the point? There's no point, what's the point protecting it here, right? Yeah? What's the point having a fortification around and protecting it here, right? When, if anybody wants them, they can just go down there and pick them themselves. Do you know what I mean? That's the irony, you know? It's like, oh, if you want some, go pick them. Do you know what I mean? I'll go up on the moors and pick them. It's only once you've picked them all and done all the work and collected them together, right, and then dried them out, then you need to start protecting the bales. Only because, not because you can't get it, because you can go pick it up at a certain time of year, but because of all the work you've done. And then if they're supplying somewhere else, so then you would have them all fortified for if you're going to save them there, you know. So it ain't that far over there either, really. I don't know. But we've got all those guys in South America, shamans, mixing God knows what together to get the same effect, or literally near the same effect, and they've got thousands of years of legacy behind them, mixing bits of Banistroperis capsule and leaves together, and you've got Siberian guys, so, you know, I just, the fact that we're actually from here, and then there's the stupid things like MMR Mast and all this and that, and the kind of like innuendo that no one really sort of discusses it kind of normally, really. But yeah, down in Wiltshire, everyone's asking questions. Oh, you know, what's long barrows for, and what are these cairns, and you know, they're questioning all the ancient druids and things like that. So they're talking about it, but they're down south, and around Stonehenge is where they're talking about it the most. There's more kind of like hippies and, you know, like kind of people into psychedelics in Wiltshire than anywhere. And that on the biodiversity map, it says that that's the least place to go, which is literally. I'm not saying that North Yorkshire hasn't got more to offer, and I'm not saying there aren't loads of natural hills up there, but we have got an actual, you know, Iron Age Hillfort and Neolithic Hillfort, and we know it's definitely got something to do with this. I don't think there's any doubt, but I just don't think it gets the accolade. I mean, you got Star Trek tie-ins, Kirk Eaton, Captain Kirk, Patrick Stewart, Starship Enterprise shape, you know, all that, but I don't know. I don't get why in Wiltshire it's not taboo. In fact, it's an openly discussed subject, legitimately, and people are actually questioning it and wanting to know more about it. Yet, here, it's kind of the opposite. We don't talk about it, which is, don't you think that's strange? Here's a little entrance bit here. Just about the same kind of positioning as where the Castle Hill entrance is. I think there's some flat bits on there. I think it comes up and then went flat there and then up again. Not unlike the walkway around Castle Hill. I think that bit there is all grassed over and grown, or really overgrown with clumps of grass and lost its shape. I think that there's a walkway ridge on there, because it looks like there was one. I think there was. I think this has been made by a farmer to get up onto it, and God knows what he's done, what damage he's done with the plough. Don't know if anybody's been or come up here with a metal detector or what, or whether it all got you know, searched when the Romans came or when William the Conqueror came. I don't know the answer to that. There, look, another patch there. There's another patch next to this exact second Hillfort shape. You know, when you think of, you know, if you get all the people who've been to Uffington Camp and Dragon Hill and Wayland Smithy to actually come here and have a look, but the West Yorkshire is not really the sort of Hillfort place. It's mainly because of that Victoria Tower. People just think of Victoria Tower and then they don't think of Neolithic or Iron Age or anything like that. In fact, this is even higher, so it's actually it's almost identical to Castle Hill in a way, really. Generally, rough cut, you know. You could say this is the hill in its natural form. You could say there's the mushrooms in their natural form, and you could say when you've extracted them and dried them, then they're not in the natural form anymore and they've been processed. Or even if you're making, like, if you're kind of, you know, boiling them and getting the actives out of it, whatever. There is a ridge. You said we don't know. We don't know what the farmers made or what. The fact that no one even questions this hill here, this second. We can see right from the other side now. Can you see just through the mist? You just see tower on the one. So I don't know what to get a photograph from the road. I wanted to go down into those fields, the allotments, will have gone all the way around that, won't it? Cissbury Ring. Why is it called Sainsbury Ring? Cissbury Ring. Cissbury Ring. And then the Hillforts, then those Irish ones have got like rings, like they've got 1 layer ring, 2 layer rings, or 3 layers of rings. You see, like if you call it a fairy ring, so if like we've got the actual Hillfort over there, the one that we know definitely is a Hillfort, but then we've got this hill which is identical size and shape to that Hillfort there, but this is a natural hill, and it's got surrounded around this, growing around it in a ring, is Libby caps. Now, when you say the words Cissbury Ring and then Fairy Ring, it kind of, and then what I can find on the Hillfort, flints. We're mining them there, and we live there, and like not on the Hillfort here, but around the Hillfort. You know, got lots of sheep hair as well. Yeah, I mean, it disappoints me that more people in this country are, like all in the other groups, not really that interested in West Yorkshire sites, only really in Avebury and Glastonbury and like this Cotswold Sevens, and an Irish group, and then the Scottish group before Caledonia, which this is before Caledonia, because if you're heading up the country you get to these Pennines before you get to Caledonia. I wonder if he's been here before Caledonia going. I don't know, it's like, it just, I don't want to be the fool who has to talk about it, the fool on the hill, fool walking on the hill. But why is everybody in Wiltshire and all the groups talking about this kind of thing, but just not anything to do with us up here? It kind of is sort of, you know, was it all explaining last of the summer wine with compo or something, or what? Nice little, some sheep there. And there is actually a pub next to this one. I don't know if there's an actual walk out of the pub up here. I think I might have parked in that pub, you know. There's more building. I think those are the fields. So, right, it's almost like, you know, the Teletubbies Hidden Valley. They used to have the Teletubbies and used to have the Hidden Valley. It's almost like that, isn't it? A little vintage jukebox for sale. Yeah, some people, it's so disappointing that we've only got Hillfort and Marsden and Hebden Bridge really, which aren't actually in Huddersfield. Marsden, Hebden Bridge and Hillfort kind of should be Meltham really, I think. And then it'd be different if all the people from Hebden Bridge type sort of scene and you know, Marsden and Hillfort were in Meltham, it'd be different. So there's what's left of his little allotment garden, his fairy ring, although that reservoir's new. Might have continued straight across there as well. In fact, you know, why have they built a reservoir there? Why did they build a reservoir there? Was there, you know, all this like to do with like the bomb dropped and only just missed that dumb steeple at Grange Moor in the war or something, and then, you know, what was there? That's where settlement might have been. You know, when all this runs down and if you're picking and growing there, then you might have had some buildings there, but we'll never know now because they've dug it all up and built that there, almost like sabotage, isn't it? Which, you know, with all the other theories that have uncovered and got, you know, wanting to erase his history, it's wouldn't mind, you know, I want to put it past the spite of them doing that, banging that reservoir there. You know, that might have been where all the buildings were. Could have, you know, we don't know what they were there. Same with the tower, putting the tower on the Hillfort before it had even been excavated properly. This is the thing. This is what you're up against. People just doing stuff like that. Maybe there might be some finds here to be had in archaeology, or have they looked or not? There must have been some interest. Can't just have been Varley. It's got to have been. We've got a gap here. Why is there a purposely? He's got all that trouble, and then he's actually got a natural gap without a gate. There's no gate on here. Just got it folded off there and folded off there. Can you see seagulls? Here we are. What footpaths there are to get across those fields. There's a little track there opposite that pub. I've got to go down into that field there, and then I'll walk back on. I might walk up there, and you can. I've driven past that field plenty of times, that one there. Right, so I'm claiming this under ancient ridgeways and trackways of England and routes. I hereby am claiming this as the Farnley-Tyres ancient Neolithic and Iron Age Hillfort route for growing and harvesting the religious sacrament of Liberty Cap mushrooms in West Yorkshire. And I hereby am walking on the ridge of the second hill fort, which is slightly south of the other one and approximately the same size and dimensions, which is not widely acknowledged or recognised or spoken about in West Yorkshire, although people in Wiltshire beg to raise the subject on a regular basis. Only if you're at Uffington, you're allowed to you know, rave about, or you're allowed to talk, you know, you're allowed to ramble. You're allowed to ramble on the subject if you're in Wiltshire or at Stonehenge or Glastonbury, but it is not, as Howard Crowe says, it's not polite to ramble about the subject, apparently, if you're in West Yorkshire. And we don't have anyone who's got to find any evidence about this Hillfort itself, other than, you know, the fact that half the site's been dug up and made into a reservoir, so we never will find out about it, you know. And then we've had a tower plonked on the top of the other one, apparently directly over where there might have been some other former temple, that someone said. One of the dowsers said there's like some evidence of a temple being somewhere on that hill. Mike M on the Megalithic Portal group. You see, on this side, it doesn't have or need any of those ridges or walkways. To me, the symbology, it kind of it just matches that site too well, doesn't it? With the camp, with the other hill, with the dragon or horse, whichever they want to argue about. Some people are saying dragon on this group, some people are saying horse. You know, oh, what a coincidence, with the camp, with the hill, with, oh, what a coincidence. You know, I might just see a dragon if I go down there in September and start eating, collecting things, certain things. I need some serious, you know, we need James Sainsbury here, don't you? You want Howard and James and both prehistory guys here with you, then you can start talking and we can start getting to the bottom of it. If you go into Avebury pub or somewhere, or Avebury village, or even into Amesbury or something, you know, and you start talking about Stonehenge, the locals will tell you stories and things like that, and I'm interested in it. If you go into that pub there and start asking them about magic mushrooms, you're not going to get much of a... They're not going to start telling you stories about it, or show much interest, I don't think. Particularly if it's some 17-year-old chav girl. The fact that we've got some horses in there is kind of special as well, actually, thinking now. We've actually got horses there. I can't believe I didn't stay up there last time I was here. Well, quite many years ago now. I bet it's probably over 10 years ago when I went up there before. Or was it? Yeah, oh no, I was still driving anyway. Here we go. This is definitely the stuff. Although you might say there are different types growing in different places, but just walked down from the hill. Is it Dragon Hill? No, not Dragon Hill, what should we call it then? Liberty Hill? Can I call it Liberty Hill? Although there's not much liberty at the moment, not with the way that they're building at Huddersfield in the council, because we've got fortresses being built everywhere around Huddersfield at the moment. Liberty Hill! Never mind Dragon Hill, opposite Uffington Camp and the White Horse Dragon. This is Liberty Hill, and we have a garden allotment at Liberty Hill, yes we do. Just a shame it's not September anymore. On Meltham Golf Course. Now there's something weird here. It looks like it's all been dug out and quarried there. Was that original shape, or has somebody scooped it all out? I think somebody might have scooped it all out. I'm filling my memory card up now. I've got it on high definition as well. Don't know why I put it on HD. You're climbing down on Salisbury Sea. Yeah, I can see the city lights now. This has got to have been dug out, hasn't it? What's going on there? Someone's built a wall, a little hill and a wall. It was a building. What building was it? Then all this, that's been... I don't know who did that or why. There's a wall up there. Has this area been dug out and carved out? Why did they build that reservoir there? What was it? You know, we don't know. This is archaeologists for you. They're obsessed. The driver, the more this is the worst thing, right? We've got this place where these grow. They're illegal anyway. It's illegal. It's got to be good if it's illegal. It's got to be interesting, right? Then we've got illegal substances growing all around the nefarium around the damn place. Perfect allotment for growing and harvesting down there. Half of the hill being pulled out here, and a mysterious reservoir appeared. So you can't do any archaeology around here. It's only been excavated once by Varley, at which time, in between, a world war occurred. Shortly after Varley started excavating the actual Hillfort, a world war occurred, right? A world war occurred, right? You know, this is not Jonathan Ott's library setting on fire, or, you know, Terence McKenna getting a brain tumour or whatever, right? And then, you know, why wasn't that, you know, what did they find when they were digging there? Did they find anything, didn't they? Or did they just go, you know, did they tell us? Has it ever been excavated all on here? Has it been excavated on there? You know, I don't even like excavating, because I think it ruins and damages things, and so you get better scans like at Maiden Castle, when they can like find every single hut position in the street. You know, why is this bit all dug out? I don't know. Almost as if, is this being dug out in modern times? Why was that building put there? Or was that already there in, like, you know, 1700s like that? Certainly not those modern bricks, right? Because it looks like somebody, if they started shaping it, they could, maybe it's to say, oh yeah, we could have shaped this like Almondbury, Hillfort, but we didn't, and we left it. I don't know. Now look at this here. Look at that. I don't know. You don't like it. Kind of. I don't think you should have to feel like you're not allowed to talk about it, or it's weird talking about it, because there's the weird thing is there's an entire group with 200,000 members or whatever, a lot of members, right? Psychedelic Art is Everything group that is openly, plastering the damn group with psychedelic art experiences from psychedelics, right? Yet it just seems highly unusual to me that you got these megalithic research, Irish Stones research groups who are wanting to go out of the way to research and look into these sites and what they were used for, particularly, and then the ancient Stones groups as well, which ties in with astronomy and travelling around and everything. Yet the subject discussion, there's like, where there's a missing link. There's a missing link in the discussion. Now, if the Irish research group's subject matter, to me it seems they're missing a major subject matter, part of the whole thing. Which, if you asked anyone else, like Jonathan, what's Jonathan not doing in South America? Is it meant to be like we take all this for granted? And like, is it meant to be taken for granted? Why is that carved out there like that? Do you think that's odd? Why did they shape the bottom of this? And why is the bit where they shaped out the bottom all growing more thick reed grass? And then it just stops there and then goes into and around the hill. Why is that? What's that strange building? I don't even want to go and look at it, to be honest. Is it meant to symbolise, and somebody's like put a bankment up it to kind of cover bricks up. Oh, the little streams running. It's like running water, and you got to go over stepping stones now. It's quite buggy. Running water. I'm probably not going to be able to go into there. Like, I thought I could just wander across it, but it's actually quite. It's all like running water, all into it. It's all running water into it. And there's a really high wall there. I'm not going to be able to get out of that side. There's a gap in the wall there, so didn't really want to film for so long because I don't know. I'm going to upload this to YouTube now. I haven't even got enough space on my computer for it. Oh wow, awesome little. Let's touch the grasses. Beautiful little waterfall. I want to get some people talking about this, because it kind of annoys me that it's all, why is it all Glastonbury, Wiltshire, when it's sort of like, kind of annoying, and maybe they just don't know, they're not been here, and they haven't actually been here, because until you've been to the site, it's quite hard to, if I hadn't been to some of these sites, if I hadn't actually been to a lot of sites, I wouldn't have I don't think that I would have got it and understood the relevance and connections and stuff. And to be honest, that video that James Sainsbury did, I loved that video. I think it's one of my favourite videos ever. Really good video, that. And he just basically just walked around with his phone. He actually just walked around with his phone talking, and he by himself, and that's why I think it's a really good video. That's why it's a brilliant video. The funniest thing is that I think Stonehenge Dronescapes actually put he did a photograph of the moon over he put a photograph of the moon over Glastonbury Tor, and he in the photograph he's actually got all little clumps like this as well. He's actually got them in the photograph underneath. There aren't as many, but there are some by it, you know, there is some. Whoa! It's really watery, muddy, but luckily, right, there's that much long grass that it's holding my feet up. I'm not going under. There we go. So how about having that next to Dragon Hill then? A nice little growing and harvesting plot, eh? How about having that next to your Hillfort? Second Hillfort. Dragon Hill. With a white dragon thing next to it. With the Liberty Cap fields. Somebody's knocked a wall down here. You know, and then you wonder whether you should upload it or not after Jonathan Otten, Terence McKenna. There you go. There's a real Dragon Hill with the Liberty Cap fields all around it, in a fairy ring around it. Not the actual, you know, in Ireland, oh, the 3 rings around it. You know, they've actually got the real fairy rings around it. And then the actual Hillfort over there, which is fortified. Why wasn't this one? Well, maybe it was, we don't know. Maybe it was ploughed, maybe the Romans planned it, maybe Willie Conqueror did, maybe it didn't need fortifying because you can come pick your own. It's almost like saying, you know, it's kind of like having strawberry fields, you know, and then they might have had some fences around, you know, all the fields, but it kind of seems ironic that you could just go get your own, you know. Maybe they wanted people to go and get their own. Maybe that was the idea. I'm not going that way because that just goes to vintage jukeboxes for sale and to the reservoir that's literally written off. I wonder if I can see Castle Hill. It's too foggy now. I wanted to take a photograph of the lake, the reflection of the trees in the lake with Castle Hill in the background, but it's too foggy now and I think the water's rippling a little bit, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So there's a bit of a talk for you. Don't know whether you think it's a lot of rubbish or not. It's a legitimate ridgeway anyway. It has to be because we've got a Neolithic Hillfort, so if that ain't an ancient ridgeway, I don't know what is. If that isn't an ancient Neolithic ridgeway, then I'll eat those for breakfast. There's even a strange bit of rock there that looks like a smiley face, and it's all speckled as if it's some sort of smiley face with weird detailed dots. Can you see right in the middle? Is that strange? Kind of weird. Yeah, it looks like they've excavated down, because look, you've got this level here, which is there and around here, and it's been excavated and dug down into it. And that's why you've got a lot of regrowth. You've got regrowth again. I wonder if they found anything, and even if they did, would they tell us? And who dug this out? And was it when they built the reservoir, or what? Is it meant to be like, because there's a little hole in the bottom of that wall there. It looks like if that overflows, it's meant to come into there. It's like a little bit of a flow thing, so they might have dug it down for that. But you know, I reckon it was an excuse. You know, oh, I want to build a reservoir there. Oh, what are the chances of that? Right here? Yeah, and then we're going to have to dig a thingamajig in here. We'll need to dig all that bit up, big sections out of the thing, you know. Don't tell us if you find out. It might end up in, you know, a peat bog in Gunderstrup or somewhere. God knows. It's all been raped and pillaged anyway by governments and tanks. Sainsbury Ring Hillfort's been ruined by. James Sainsbury said that all the military went on that Hillfort and were razzing tanks around it, tearing it up, you know. God knows what else they're finding and looking for. They like ruining stuff, that's the problem. All they want to find is evidence that people were feasting on pork chops. We found evidence of ancient grains and mass feasting. Wow! Mike Parker Pearson. So that's all they're bothered about. They've got to. I don't know what's happening to this country. It's all one big obsession with feasting and greed. The absolute obsession. Silver spoon, industrial world factory, Warburton's bread. Let's fill you up, fill your boots, fill your guts with these new modern scientifically modified grains that are completely ruining this metabolism, as proven by Dr. Ekberg on YouTube, right? You know, that's what's really important. Riding the tanks around. So these very well could have been the perfectly flat and level little garden, Liberty Cap garden at the side of Liberty Cap Hill. Could well have been, and there's evidence that still is, partially, not unlike still evidence that's Flint at Cissbury Ring. I mean, what they're going to do, what were they going to do? Stop it? How can you stop it from growing here? You can't, can you? There's little moleholes as well. I think that's quite cute. Little moleholes along the road. The only other possibility is that it's actually a slag heap, or there's some slag heaps near certain power stations. You know, like where the power station dumped all the earth from the slag heaps. Now it could be possible they dug some earth out from when they built the reservoir and dumped it there, and it could be that, but I'm not sure. I need to ask someone, and then all my talk could have been completely pointless. It looks natural to me though. It doesn't look like a slag heap. This is a real treat of a track we're here then. If that is the legitimate natural hill and not made out of slag heap or off scrapes from that reservoir being made, which I've got to find out whether it is a natural hill or not, then this is the Liberty Cap fields, the actual ones, all the way around. And even if it's not, even if that hill's not legitimate, the other Hillfort certainly is officially Neolithic, so not just stones throw away from the good stuff here. Why did they have to build that reservoir there? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? You don't know what they found and dug up. I'm not told you about. Why do they always have to do it somewhere like this? A special, really notable spot. I'll find out if it is natural. Like, if it is natural, then I'm gonna keep my videos legitimate. If it turns out that it's just dumped up from scrapings out of the reservoir, but there's no power station around here or anything, so it's not slag. It's not a slag heap. I know that for certain. It's absolutely not a slag heap. They could have made it when they scooped out the reservoir. They could have dumped it there. But why would that other end be cut out perfectly in shape? Didn't make sense. one thing's for certain, this is prima facie Liberty Cap land. Just a stone's throw from the Hillfort itself, even if that isn't natural, or even if it's modern. So I think that's the house that's got the sign outside it saying vintage jukeboxes for sale. Just there. See that van, whatever it was, that white van just went past in the middle of the screen now. Vintage jukebox. Play it again, Sam. Might upload this onto the psychedelic art group because they might be interested in it. But then again, I don't think their interest threshold's high enough. They kind of just like to look at the pictures really quickly and then just click like. Some clumps in here with some sheep hair. Looks like it's a dead pheasant or something there. Don't know what it is, but we've got a few clumps here. Don't know whether this video is a complete waste of time or not until I find out whether that hill's natural or whether it's something to do with... Wow! Massive flock of birds, I don't know if you can see it. All landed. Beautiful. A trackway straight down the sides of the Liberty Cap fields. Hello sheeps! And molehills as well. Hello sheeps! Hello! I wonder if it is legitimately, I wonder if it's just scrapings from that reservoir or not. Maybe it is. Maybe they made it from that reservoir. My talk's a load of crap. But even if the other Hillfort's not a load of rubbish, and this is the edge of where the moors properly do start anyway, so it's still, I still think it's a legitimate spot. I still think these fields are legitimate significance, even if that is a big slaggy. But the fact is, why would they pile it up when the farmer... I can't see why they pile that up. Why would they pile it up? Because the thing is, right, farmers want this for farming, right? So if they made the reservoir, I can't see why they'd make the reservoir there, right, and then pile that all up there when it could be a perfectly good field for farmer. But then he has to, well, even though it's got sheep on it anyway on the slope, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they wanted it for a bit of a view, so people could go for a view, but it's not openly accessed open to the public, is it? Sheep. Any vintage jukeboxes for sale? Sheep. Are you collecting anything? Huh? Are you collecting anything? Hey? Sheep? It'd be nice to think these were the collecting fields, wouldn't it, eh? Or the main immediate ones. I don't know though, because if you look, right, that road, right, the road from Helm goes up the hill and then over the house and round and down, doesn't it? So would they have built this out of the materials from building that and then made the road go up, round and over? It seems unlikely that it would want to make a road have to go up and over and round, doesn't it? And there's a house on there. how long has the house been up on there? If that house has been up on there since the 1800s or 1700s, then clearly that is natural, because otherwise it won't be raised up there, would it? Still don't know why they built a reservoir there. There might not be anything from the Bronze Age here anyway. Might have been way back earlier. Might have been way back Neolithic. It's not that windy here though, it's cold. Not windy there. I don't think I'm going to get any decent photos of that hill if I walk back down that way anyway. I think I'm going to carry on walking onto the road at the end. There you go. I've got to check this hill out now, which I can't see it being that modern because there's a house at the start of it and the road goes up and around, has to go up and around. Surely they would have made the road just go flat, and then they would have... These are actual harvesting fields, or growing and harvesting fields. It'd be cool if they were, wouldn't it? Doesn't seem to be able to stop them growing either. Better than an ancient trackway, an ancient... Forget picking strawberries in strawberry fields. Strawberry fields forever. Liberty fields. Sheep, are these Liberty fields or not? I need to find out. And then you've got the entire moors, but this is back garden, isn't it? So convenient. Don't have a white dragon there. Or a white horse. I think that J.R. Tolkien forward in that book, in that Yorkshire dialect book by Haig, definitely Tolkien lends to the theory anyway. Tolkien's in favour of it. Got some more at the other side. This field's got quite a high wall around it. They're really neat, these dry stone walls. More up on them up. There's plenty more where they came from, but it's so foggy now you can't even see the edge of the moors. Literally right on the edge of the moors. Moors. Another stupid water creation. Someone's made a box of water. Don't know why. I'm hoping this goes through onto the other road at the other side. I think it does because there's a house there. This goes onto the road. I was hoping to walk through one of these fields. Someone's put these stones on this wall. It looks quite wet and damp. I wanted to walk through this field. It's quite high. It looks quite... The gate's open, so I'm going in. Water to go in this field. It would be really cool if these were growing and harvesting fields, wouldn't it? It would be really cool if they were. or significantly major ones. Not to say they didn't get flints everywhere. You know, Cissbury Ring wasn't the only place you could get flint in all the island, but it was a significantly major place. You know, wouldn't it be awesome if that hill is natural? And this is the on your doorstep. Some sort of track through here anyway. Bit of a track or footpath through there, it looks like a motorbike, or maybe it's what it is. Wow. Okay, so that's a little investigation of the vintage jukeboxes for sale spot. Well, not even for sale. Vintage jukeboxes for free spot. What's it called, that hill? What's the hill called?
Well, this is Tatey Lane.
What? Yeah, but what's the? You know that Will and Nat's pub?
Yeah.
You know the hill behind it?
I don't know, to be honest.
Is that natural, or is it what the script's out at Reservoir?
I think it's natural.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, right. I wasn't too sure if it were, you know, like all the what the script's out when they make Reservoir.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Why do most people consider it a natural hill, like?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright. Look at this spot here, this field. Wow. Look at this field. Hey sheep. Even got their own bale. Been talking to that guy, he didn't even know. This guy lives around here and he doesn't even know whether it's natural hill for certain or not. This is awesome with them all eating out of that bale there. It's all collected dried grass. Those trees look pretty cool. It just goes back onto the road at the other side. I think there's a bus stop down there. I could go back to a different place. Oh wow, there's a really strong smell now. I love that smell. I haven't smelled that manure smell for ages. Wow, look at all the clumps. I have a feeling all kids come and park on here because there's loads of takeaway things dumped, and it's a perfect picking place in season, as well as people say Meltham Golf Course, but I think they say that to not tell you about it here, when it's kind of like a classic place. This other side, once you've come up, there's that you can just see the silhouette of the hill there, right? Once you've got this flat bit here, then it rolls right down into the valley then, and you've got all the valley and all the houses have all kind of Linthwaite and up to Marsden and that, and back into Slithwaite and that, which is all downhill in a deep valley then. So it is almost like, if that hill is natural, this bit here is kind of perfect really. The weird thing is it's a perfect long barrow shape like Castle Hill is. That's the other weird thing. Wow, look at this field. It's absolutely ram-packed, the whole thing. It's ram-jammed. Farmer just came up to us to ask me what we're up to walking through. He thought I had a dog with me, but I don't.